Hey, good morning, everybody. Today, what we're going to be doing is working on a vintage edit. And so, we want to take a normal picture and make it vintage. And so, here's how we're doing this. We start with a picture like this, and I'm going to give you the photo, and then you're going to end up with something like this. Now, it's a long process to get to where we want to, and this is tough. This is not easy stuff. I mean, it's taken me a long time to figure this out. So, I've got some pretty good ideas for you on how to go about this design. So, the way it works is we're going to start with file place. And so we started with a design that was 10 by 10. So it's a square design. And so we're going to find bride, click place. Now I'm going to press the option key as I do this. And as I press the option key, see the scaling? And so it pulls from the middle. Hit return. So I've got that done. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add some layer masks. So to start, here, not layer mask, sorry, we're going to add to some layers with this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our photo, channel mixer. And so first thing, make it monochromatic. And then I'm going to just kind of clean these up a little bit. And so I'm adding more contrast to it. So I'm boosting some of the reds, and you can see what happens when I start adding these. And so as I go through this, we can figure out what looks good, what doesn't, but we want to make a couple of changes. Okay, then what I want to do is I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to add levels. And so I've got a color channel mixer, and then I've got my levels. Now with the levels, I'm going to mess with this a little bit. So now I'm adding a little more contrast into this. And even in here, what I can do is tweak these just a little bit. Okay, so that's coming along pretty nicely. And so you can see what happens as I do this is it just lightens up some of the black. So you see how black it was, and now we get more gray, so we get more of a faded look to it. Next, third one, we're going to get into a solid color. And so now I just cover the whole thing with black. And so we can figure out which color we want. For this one, I want to go black. Okay. Then the next thing, I'm going to go into my color fill and I'm going to go into blending options. And so we do our blending options here and we're going to get into a gradient overlay. All right, now what we want is we want radial. I want black to white, and so I can click on here, and a lot of times I just grab something like this, but I don't want it that much. So I want to change this to white, so I double click that and then I go here, and so it just kind of creates a little different look. If I want to add other colors, I can click on it. If I want to get rid of it, I just click and drag it down. So now I click OK, and it should go black to that. Now, one of the cool things is we should be able to move this to a certain spot. So I'm going to want this right around where her face is. So I've got that. Now, opacity is 100%, but then this part I want to change to screen. And so when I change that to screen, this is going to blend right into that, so we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, let's see here, change this into screen. So there we go. And you can see, I click on here, we would be able to move that around a little bit. Okay. So the next thing is I've got this picture here. Okay, now if I move this, all right, that's really not doing much. Okay, so let me try this one here. Gradient overlay, clicked. All right, good. So now that part's done. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to add a little more texture to this. So what we want to do now is we're going to grab just some, let's see here, two images that we're going to use. We're going to do dust and scratches. And so we'll start with this one. Pull this picture in, and maybe you want to go horizontal, maybe you want to go vertical. And so you can rotate it or scale it, do whatever you need to. Hit return. Then I'm going to go into here and I'm going to change this to what I think is going to look pretty good. And so it's up to you what you end up choosing. And so I'm going to go, that's not going to look so good. So you can see what is going to look good and what won't. And so screen looks pretty good. All right, not bad. And if I want, I can always erase some of that. Next thing, I'm going to add the second piece in. And so I started with the first dust and scratches, and now I'm going to add this one in. And now if I want to, I can rotate it, hold the shift key so it goes in 15-degree increments. Press the option key, scale it so it's large enough, hit return, do the same thing again. You can see what ends up happening. And so each of these is going to cover and give it a different effect. That's actually kind of cool. I'm going to go back up to play it safe with this one, and we're going to go screen. All right, so that's coming along. Next thing is we want to add a vintage paper into the background. So we're going to go File, click the wrong one. File, oh my gosh. My trigger finger's getting a little bit wrong right here. So let's try this again. Third time's a charm. File, place. There we go. And then we're going to get vintage paper. All right. Yep. Perfect. Place. And then I've got this crease that's going right through it. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this, we're going to put it off to the side here. There we go. Come back up here. Press the option key. All right, so it scales it the right way. Click return. And then we're going to do the same thing again, and you're going to see what happens here. So it's up to you what you end up choosing. They're all going to be a little bit different. And so which one do you like the most? I really like this multiply. That looks pretty sharp. And so there you go. Now, one thing I also added to it, and it's totally your call, but I added another layer here, and then I painted it with a black paint. And so you can do it black, you can do a different color. So I paint it like that, and then I grab the eraser tool, and I change the size of it. So it's a general brush size, hardness is at 0. We'll go about this size for now, okay, which is tiny. So then I'm just going to make this a lot bigger. So hardness is 0%, so it's really small. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, so I'm erasing it. Okay, click again, click again. And so I've got something like that. Now if I want to change the opacity a little bit, that's fine, but what it's doing is it's just giving it a little vignette right around the side. So as I click on it, you see how it kind of puts the focus in there. So this is what we're doing. You start with this assignment. After you're done with this, you're going to make your own picture and do whatever you want to. For your second one, eventually, we're going to mess with dust and scratches, vintage paper, and then a different image. But this is how we go about this assignment. So there's just a couple of steps that you got to go through, but you got to understand how to use this right down here, the fill and adjustment layers, because then you can just cancel them out. So how does this look without it versus with it? It's pretty cool. So anyway, good luck with this. Have some fun and enjoy it. Hope you learned something. See ya.